Hi, welcome to Understanding Conscious Cryptids with me, Khat Hansen, your host. Hi everyone, welcome to Understanding Conscious Cryptids. Today's lesson was recommended by one of my patrons by the name of Jeff, and I want to say thank you, Jeff S., for giving me this topic to discuss. Well, today's subject is going to be devil monkeys. That's kind of a weird phrase. I would guess weird turn of a name, but that's what people call them. And I can kind of see why they would call them that. Devil monkeys. These guys are usually reported to be about, I want to say, anywhere from 2 feet tall to 3.5, almost 4 feet tall. They are usually red-eyed or black-eyed. There have been reports of them as being black-eyed. Now, these guys are really interesting to me because they pop up and seem to be indigenous to Virginia, West Virginia, Illinois. You know, these spots that I just named and threw out there are really, really interesting places because they seem to have abnormal amounts of reports of very strange things. Now, devil monkeys started being reported, apparently, or seen in the late 1700s by the colonists and settlers and everybody. But in reality, there are quite a few legends of these guys that go back even further to the native indigenous peoples here. So, that being said, let's talk about them. Devil monkeys, first of all, are not Bigfoot. These guys, like I said, are anywhere between 2.5 to 3.5, maybe 4 feet tall. They're overly muscular. They have these really strange ears. That's something that you're not going to really notice on a baboon when you look at them. That's not one of the things that stands out. These guys have very strange ears. They're almost human-like. They are size proportionate to the head, maybe a little bit bigger, and they are pointed. Okay, so now we've already stepped off the path, and now we're going down that little trail, you know, the one where I always lead you guys, and make you kind of think and wonder and face the possibility, which is really the reality of this world. These guys are reported as having red eyes or black eyes. They usually live in the areas of the bottoms, and what I'm talking about the bottoms, I'm talking creek bottoms, swamp bottoms, things that are places where humans don't typically go. You know, I mean, you're not going to take a picnic and go out to the bottoms and sit there. It's just not something you really want to do because it's not a great area, and usually it's got runoff or it's got swampy areas with mosquitoes, you know, just things that are unpleasant, and people don't really want to go to the bottoms. Now, I want to make a point here. People don't usually want to go to the bottoms. Ask a hunter if he will go hunt in the bottoms, and he will say yes, because animals go down there to drink and to, you know, get away from humans. So there's usually a good game trail down there through the bottoms. Okay, so there we have something that's interesting. So we're going to recap here for a minute because I'm trying to make a point. 4 feet tall, overly muscular, have ears, have fangs like baboons, big fangs. If any of you have ever seen the Type 3 Sasquatch that I was asked to give a description of while there was an artist who drew it up. It's really interesting because it is what I guess the researchers call it class 3, but I call them face eaters. That's what I've known them as my whole life. They are face eaters. The Beast of Seven Shoots, face eater. Very large, 7 feet tall, dog-faced, baboon-faced looking thing with a big belly on it. Well, devil monkeys are described specifically as being baboon or dog-like. You know, they have shaggy hair. They usually come in like a red or a black color. So now we're kind of going off that path again, because if you think about lesson 1s and 2, where I talk about the colors of the Stayama people and what's dangerous, well, everybody knows that red means danger, red means stop, don't approach it. Well, it's fascinating that devil monkeys only come in 2 colors, red or black. Okay, it gets stranger and stranger as we go, you know. We're talking about something here that is in reality maybe on the outside 4 feet tall, but these guys have footprints that are 12 inches long. Okay, that's kind of creepy. Added to the fact that there have been even larger footprints found from these guys, and it just starts to make your brain hurt. They have 3 toes, and they have regular spacing between them. Now, if you go back and look at the lessons, Letiche, or the lizard man, has 3 toes. So these guys are like, to me, something that couldn't make up its mind what it wanted to be, you know, when it was put here, because they seem to morph and change, and pretty soon they're not baboons, you know, that you're dealing with here. I mean, it's really quite interesting in that people down south seem to think that what they're dealing with is a giant baboon. And then there are the others that just think they are regular baboons. And then we have that little branch out there for the type 3s that I've said, you know, face eaters. These guys have the classic face eater face. The over-muscled jaw, the big fangs, you know, a snout, and shaggy hair. Okay, if you go back and through the internet, you know, or the encyclopedia or wherever you go to look, you're going to realize that this is not describing your normal average baboon. For some reason, it just doesn't work. These guys are really, really aggressive too. You know, there are reports of people shooting at them, and these things just keep right on coming, you know, to the point where the people have had to hit them with their guns, keep shooting, running away, turning around and shooting at these things, and they never seem to get hurt or injured, you know. And that's another one of those things where it's the question of, are we dealing with a terrestrial animal, or are we dealing with something else completely and entirely unknown to us? So, that being said, I want to take you back now to what I was saying, in that the Native Americans were here, and they already knew about these guys. Okay? They already knew that they had claws, horrible claws. They knew that they could run and jump and climb. Okay? Climb up into the trees. Now, I don't know about you, but when Bigfoot takes to the trees, I'm terrified. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. It's one of the most terrifying, frightening things that you will ever experience in your life. Let alone have this thing, which is, call it a devil monkey, that automatically runs along the ground, but also takes refuge in the trees and likes to hunt and stalk through the trees. There's been many stories of hunters encountering these guys out in the wilderness, okay, and they stumble across them and they see this aggressive monkey, for lack of a better term, coming at them. They're throwing rocks at it, they're yelling at it, doing everything that they can do to discourage it from coming, and yet it keeps on coming. So then they're forced to use the next option, which is to shoot it and shoot to kill. But there's never been one killed. So what happened there? These guys come from a different realm. They've stepped over, crossed over into these areas, and these areas are very specific about what they are. They have portals. I'm really starting to stress out to the point where I need people to get that every single state has portals. Every country, every state. There are even portals in the ocean. Because all these are is where the magnetic frequencies line up, overlap, and come into contact with each other. Once this happens, it's just like a timed lock, where the lock unlocks at a certain time and the door swings open. Well, that's exactly what happens with the portals. They line up and presto, they pop open, and whatever is on the other side of that doorway now has the ability to come through into our realm, our dimension. And once it does that, then it's here. We don't have the ability to make them go back, so they pop in and out. You know, I mean, if they are animals, then they are going to the area where they originally came through, and some of them just happen to be there again when the portal opens. We have instances of people saying, well, we never had one of these around before, but now it's hung out here for a couple months, you know, and then all of a sudden it's gone. We don't know what happened to it. Well, it went through the portal. Wherever it came from opened up, and it was done, and it was time to go through that portal. So I want people to get what I'm saying here about these, because they're not new. We've never been able to identify where they come from, what they are, how many of them there are. We just don't know. But I do know this, that if you encounter one, shooting at it's not going to help. Because back in the day, you had to have hunters who were exclusively able to shoot and hunt the animals that were needed for food and pelts. There's accounts of these things being here and the humans trying to make them go back and attacking them, and it didn't work. So as far as that legend goes, they're still here, and they will always be here. These guys are stepping into our realm from another dimension, and they're finding out that humans aren't so scary after all.